So as we're talking about Medicare today, I'm here with Ben Mankiewicz from Turner Classic Movies, and I was watching Chris Hardball, and he's one of those people, he's one of those liberals who wants to cut Medicare because it turns out he's not really a liberal. Chris Matthews, he's just a suck up to power who isn't crazy, right? He seems normal and rational, so you go, oh, he must be liberal, and he's on television, right? So he's not. And so here he is talking with Joanne, what's her name?
I think it's Joyanne Reed.
Joyanne Reed from the Griot,
yeah.
Right? And so here they're talking about cutting Medicare, and she makes a great point about cutting Medicare, which is...
Well,
I don't see what the incentive is. I don't get what the incentive is for Democrats to now cut Medicare. I mean, if they win on loopholes, if they're able to get tax increases, if they get defense cuts.
Okay, so she says, what's in it for Democrats to cut Medicare, right? That's for the other party. That's what they want to do, right? That's
like, why would we voluntarily... Why would we try and solve this problem on the backs of people who use Medicare? It seems a terribly rational argument. Her argument about that if we're going to win on loopholes and on increasing taxes, I don't think we are.
No.
But nonetheless, yeah, why cut Medicare?
Right, let them cut. That's their job.
Right.
That's not up to us to do that. So Chris Hardball comes back with her, hey, this is one of the best explanations for why we need to cut Medicare I've ever heard, and by best I mean worst. I mean worst. Here we go. Here's Chris Hardball.
I'll tell you why. Because if this government goes down and we continue to have this craziness, public confidence in the economy is going to drop, and we're going to have a second recession, and this president's second term ain't going to be worth claiming.
So I don't know if you just heard that. What he's saying is that if we don't cut health care to old people, our economy is going to tank. How do you spur the economy? Cut health care. This is his idea. And the government's going to go down. He says, Ben, the government's going to go down if we don't do something. Yeah, if we don't do something about guys like you who keep saying the government's going to go down if we don't cut Medicare.
You know, he has, though, touched on exactly what happens when one side is just their intransigence is exactly that. When they will not budge in any way, is that eventually, and it doesn't even take long for establishment media to do this, who are always looking for he said, she said, eventually the rational side has to try and protect some degree of structure.
Yes.
So you get Democrats who don't want to cut Medicare saying, okay, we'll cut Medicare if you will fucking do something. Jesus, stop.
Yeah.
Democrats are like abused women.
So I agree
they keep
with
going
you.
back. I'm saying, but yeah, I'm not even kidding. They're like, keep going back. They're like,
well, that's the media. The media,
that's right.
And the media is not an impartial referee. For some reason, they can't help but go, it's both sides.
Right, it's both sides. When it's not both sides, when it's irrational, we know when you go back to an abuser, you're making a mistake. We understand it. It's human nature in many ways. But that's exactly what's happened. They're pleading, please just make some deal someday. Okay, I'll cut Medicare. I'll cut Social Security. What do you want? Please make a deal.
So that Joy from the Griot she responds to Chris Matthews, hey, you got to cut it to save the economy. Here she goes.
But there's no reason for Barack Obama to put his name on it. Republicans are the ones who really want to cut Medicare. They're going to have to go out front. They keep trying to push him to do it.
You know why?
Yeah, so that makes sense, right? The Democrats are the ones who invented Medicare. They should keep protecting it, not killing it. That's what she's saying. Chris Matthews, here comes this is the thing they do. You're not a grown-up. Only Chris Matthews is a grown-up because he wants to do something unpopular. Here's the thing he wants to do.
Let me give you my speech. All right? It's not left or right. Somebody's going to drive the frickin' car, and the kids in the backseat can complain. But sooner or later, you got to drive the car, and it's Obama's car. Okay, thank you, Howard Fineman. Thank you, Joy. I normally agree with, but you can't keep sitting in the backseat. Daddy, I'm hungry. She touched me. He took me. He's on my side. You got to stop. Up next.
See? Only immature, petulant children want to protect Medicare and close tax hole loopholes. No. See, you got to be only grown up. You got to be a grown up. Why don't you grow up, Ben, and sell out the base of the Democratic Party? That's the whole point.
Right. Grow up and fix this problem on the backs of people using Medicare.
Yeah. If Obama gives up Medicare, maybe he can have his second term back. What's the fucking point of that?
And it really is. It's exactly, Chris Matthews has fallen into precisely, you go back to the 1980s, precisely what Grover Norquist wanted.
Yes.
It's like squeeze it dry, make them make concessions that are so far to the right that finally at some point we'll go, okay, we'll make you a deal.
Yeah.
We'll make you a deal. Right.
And that is exactly what's happening. And Chris Matthews he basically said, hey, we have to cut Medicare so these guys who are crazy will stop being crazy, and then people will have confidence in that. That's not the way that's the tail wagging the dog.
These are people who don't care about government, who aren't interested in the mechanics of government, who don't care if government works. They're in to sort of bleed government dry and then say, look, government's incompetent. That's the whole plan.
Why don't you frickin' grow up, Ben? I'm driving the car. Get in the back, okay? Get in the back. You got to get out of your comfort zone, and by getting out of your comfort zone, I mean, betraying everything you ever stood for.
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about, getting out of a comfort zone.